Hey guys, thank you for joining me here today. I've decided to remake the Zoom class that I held on Saturday, December 18th, because a lot of people were unable to make it. And for whatever reason, when I recorded the Zoom, I was unable to publish it to YouTube. I just got an audio version. So I'm creating this video to put on YouTube to make it easier for all of you guys to access. Please feel free to ask a Montessorian and ask me any questions you may have. I'm going to be creating content for 0 to 3-year-olds, but most of my content is going to be in the 3 to 6 and 6 to 12 age groups, because that's where my Montessori training is. However, as a mother of 3, I do have a lot of experience, and I also taught with 0 to 3-year-olds, and I also taught in a Assistance to Infancy Association of Montessori International certified Montessori program, not as a lead teacher, but as an assistant, and I learned a lot being in that program. So I do have a pretty good feel for 18 months to 3-year-olds too. So feel free to ask me any questions. I tend to focus on things that I'm passionate about. So if there's something that you're really struggling with, let me know, and I will do my best to address it. All right, here we go. Like I said, thank you. Some of these topics are going to commingle because they all relate to one another. Please feel free to share this course with your friends and family and anyone who you think might benefit from it. Please check out my Facebook page. It is Houston Education Consulting Services. If you would be so kind as to leave a review on this course, I would really appreciate it. I haven't started yet, but I'm going to start a Patreon account. That was recommended to me so that I can have a little bit of income coming in and I can keep these courses going for all of you. And then my goal is to be supported with sponsors on YouTube so that I don't have to charge a membership fee or a course fee or anything like that. I just want to keep all of this content easily accessible for everyone. And like I said before, if you have any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear, please let me go. Please let me know. And I will go make a video for you. The first topic we're going to discuss is concentration. Concentration is our ultimate goal. And in order to reach concentration, I'm going to repeat time and time again, you have to observe. So observation and concentration go hand in hand. They lead to mastery, and mastery leads to many successes in life for both you and your children. You are the scientist, and your child is your little guinea pig. I know it's kind of a silly way to look at it, but if you do look at it like that and you're careful, you take notes, you pay attention to the details, and you follow the recipe, follow the lessons. Montessori is the study of human development. So these lessons can be used by anyone. I mean, of course, the training is priceless and very impactful. However, as parents, we have a responsibility to be involved in human development and give our children the best possible foundation so they can have the greatest success in life. So observation, when you learn to understand when your child is concentrating, you'll be able to put a foundation in place to build more and more opportunities for that concentration to grow. The infant begins to absorb their environment, which involves language, caring for themselves and others, caring for their environment, and using their senses to engage with their environment. This is why we have some sensorial materials in Montessori. And the entire environment that you prepare for them is filled with all of these opportunities for sensorial experiences for them. And this leads us to your home environment, preparing your home environment. Depending on the age of your children, you're going to need to modify the environment to meet their needs. I intend to have an Amazon associate marketplace set up so that you can go on there and reach all of the I'm going to put a link on this as soon as I get it finished so that you can go on there and order furniture. You can go on there and order tiny little votive candle holders. And if I find anything, I will let you know where I found it. I checked out Target to try and get a feel for it. I made a video. You can look at my YouTube channel, Ask a Montessorian, and you'll see one of the videos I did in Target with clothes that are really helpful. But we do need a line of clothes. If you guys find one in the Montessorian community at large, please let me know, because I have some friends who would love to have some clothes that are easy for the infant to put on and take off, because you want them to dress themselves as early as possible. My 9-month-old son was drinking from a votive candle holder without a sippy cup or a bottle, and he was feeding himself with a small spoon from a small bowl. Everything in Montessori is glass, because if you give a child a piece of plastic, and let's say you're on your phone, on Facebook or whatever, you're on your phone and you're not giving him his immediate attention, he might take that plastic plate or that plastic cup and toss it across the room. And if he does do that, guess what? Mom's going to go pick it up and put it back on his plate, or mom's going to say, you can't have it, which takes away his opportunity to master the art of being able to drink and eat by himself if he can't have his little cup or plate. But my point is glass, because if he gets upset for whatever reason, he's trying to get your attention, and he throws that glass on the ground, he may be too young to clean it up at this point, but it is a terrific opportunity for him to be able to sweep those shards into the tray. And then he will be thinking, oh no, I don't have my glass anymore. So that's why we use glass in Montessori. There needs to be a cause and effect. And that's the cause and immediate effect. And they learn through that control of error. So you have child-sized utensils, you have stools. I'm trying to find a good stool, because the Montessori one is kind of overwhelming. It's big, and it's got large sides, and it's like $200, and it's just really, really big. It's one of the great features of it is that it's made out of a really light wood, so the child can push it around the kitchen. So you want something that's easy for them to be able to move on their own, but you don't want it too cumbersome. And so what I used, which was not ideal, but I used those step stools, and it's in that video that I made in Target where I talk about things for your home environment. And the bar got in the way of the counter. So it's like a painter's stool. It's one of those big I think it has 3 steps. It either has 2 or 3 steps. It's white. You can push it up against the counters. And my little guy, that was good because it was high enough so that even when he was 10 to 12 months old, he could get to the kitchen sink and wash his hands. And then I had a really tall plastic stool, those Rubbermaid ones, so that he could take that around and put it in front of the bathroom sinks and wash his hands or get to whatever he might need, brushing his own teeth, things like that. Your goal is to create a prepared environment in your home with your child's independence in mind. So you want them to be as independent as possible. And of course, you are responsible for observing them, because a lot of parents say to me, they're going to hurt themselves. And this gets me. I'm sorry, I have to say this. They have these plastic things that you put in front of the stove to keep the children from being able to reach the hot stove. Your child is a very conscious, capable being. Even if they're special needs, they still have sensorial experiences. You show them that the stove is hot, and they will not put their hand up there again. They understand this. They will remember for the most part. So you give them opportunities. And in relation to those of you who do have children with special needs, it is our responsibility as adults to accommodate them, because all they need is a different way of approaching situations. They need a different way for us to communicate with them, and they need a different way for us to sensorially meet their needs. So it's our responsibility as their caregivers to figure out what the best way is for them to learn. Let's see. So in the bedroom, you're going to have a mattress on the floor, and this will take us a little bit into sleep. And sleep just basically comes down to routine and consistency. Consistency is such a big word. I'm trying to tell myself I need consistency because I'm starting my own business, right? I need consistent videos. I need consistent engagement with all of you to find out what you guys need and how I can meet your needs. So in the child's bedroom, you're going to have a crib mattress on the floor, and then you're going to have a large mirror on the wall. And this is so that even the smallest infant can look into the mirror and see themselves. They're learning all the time, even when you're not giving them a lesson. They're constantly absorbing their environment. And then they have mobiles for different stages of their development with different colors based on their eyes and the development of their eyes that are really cool. So there's no reason to place your child in a caged crib. You can prepare the environment in their bedroom, child-proof their bedroom, so that with the crib on the floor, and you can have a dresser in there. Just make sure that you secure it to the wall. They always have, on the back of the dressers, they have those fasteners so that you can attach it to the wall. So if they pull it forward, it won't come out. And then at night you have the baby monitor and you keep an eye on them, but they will crawl and walk so much faster if they are not kept in a cage. And even if you do have them in a crib, for those of you more experienced mothers, you know as well as I do that they crawl and they climb and they are very adept at getting into things. My son's a ninja warrior now. He was never in a crib, but his sisters were, because it was before I knew better, and they crawled out of the cribs at 13 months old as soon as they can start walking. They're like little monkeys. They're very strong. So you want them to be able to explore as much of their environment of their own accord as often as possible. And this takes us to eating. Breastfeeding obviously is an ideal food. And it also creates a bond between the mother and the child. It's their first experience of socialization in the world. And it's sensorial because there's the intimacy of touching each other and that bond of just loving and caring for each other. And it's a really beautiful experience if you do have the choice to breastfeed. Some mothers don't, which I can understand. And then that comes down to just letting the child have a sensorial experience as often as possible if you are bottle feeding, and hold them to you and cuddle them and look into their eyes and make it a very loving experience. And usually between, 9 and 10 months old, they're done with a bottle and they can drink from a glass. If you are paying attention, you're observing, you're watching for their concentration, just doing the best to engage yourself with them as much as possible. So let's see here. There are lots of benefits to breastfeeding, but I'm not going to get into those unless you want me to, and I'll make a whole class on breastfeeding because I did a lot of research in between my first and second child. Let's talk a little bit more about sleep, because some people were concerned about sleep. Sleep is vital for the mental work that needs to be done in the child. 0 to 3, 3 to 6. That's why they call it the absorbent mind until 6 years old. That child is absorbing everything, and their personalities are developing. Impressions that create these amazing, important foundations for the rest of their life. Let's see. If you're constantly communicating with your child and you're observing, you know instinctually when he or she is tired. It is vital that you accommodate their needs. So if your mother-in-law is coming to visit you, let's see, before the example I used was for the holidays because we were around the holidays, but let's say they're coming to visit you for a birthday celebration or something like that, and they're coming from out of town and they say, hey, we're not going to get there till midnight. It's your responsibility to protect your child's environment and to meet their needs as often as possible to accommodate them so that they can grow up to be as confident and secure as possible. That takes us back to food too. It's important that you tell your in-laws, you can come in the morning when the baby's awake, or you can come quietly and I will try and make arrangements for you to get a hotel, or, quietly enter the home and make sure that the baby's room is far away from the door and just try and keep everybody as quiet as possible. You're going to a party and they want you to bring the baby, but it doesn't start till 7 p.m. and the baby goes to bed at 6 p.m. Not until the baby's 2 or 3. People can come over and meet the baby. I mean, everybody has their own COVID relationship with COVID right now. So it's up to you how you want to set those boundaries. But the entire point of this rant is that you need to accommodate your baby's schedule. So they're going to nap twice a day from, it depends. It's a case-by-case basis. 12, anywhere from 12 to 24 months, 30 months, and then once a day. And my daughter, for instance, napped until she was 7 because when she came home, she had such a jam-packed day at school. She has lots of energy. She was tired. So she took a nap for about an hour in the afternoons for kindergarten and first grade. So each child is different, but we have an obligation to pay attention to that and make sure that they get the sleep that they need for their brains to develop properly. You will notice a huge difference if you don't pay attention to their sleep routine and you have to wake them up or you have to keep them up later. Big difference. I mean, we as adults feel it, right? When we're tired or we're grumpy, it comes down to that. So if a child, let's see here. When a Montessori parenter is mindful of the child, that child grows to be significantly more self-confident, secure, and has an inner awareness of his or her own needs and the wherewithal to express them throughout their entire lives. I mean, those children that come up to you, they've had a lot of grace and courtesy at home as well, which I'll make a different video on that because grace and courtesy is very important. But they're able to come up to other people and say, hey, this is what I need right now. They're not scared and they're not insecure. And that takes us back to food. We were talking about food and breastfeeding, and there's, bottle feeding. Maria Montessori believes that if you violate the barriers to the child, it's a form of child abuse. So if you're telling your child they have to try something, you have to understand that they can smell it before they can taste it. And if it doesn't smell good, do you want to eat something that doesn't smell good? I don't. So she believed that you do not force feed your children ever. We got to be creative. Find ways to put vegetables in different things. If you start them as an infant on vegetables, they will grow a taste for it. They will grow a liking for it. And you just keep continuing it. And they will come around. I mean, this is old parenting, but my dad was like, when they're hungry, they'll eat. Which, it's really important that they have a good diet. And you want to introduce vegetables as early as possible. But force feeding is... You don't want to do that. It violates their personal boundaries because it creates this deep feeling of insecurity. And there are a few things that do that. So it's just important that we as adults be more aware of how we're engaging with our children. So imagine being able to sleep in the morning because your child has prepared his or her own breakfast by him or herself without your engagement at all, except for you preparing the environment the night before possibly, or the month before, because you have a shelf down low in the kitchen for them to put their bowl on. You have the milk lower in the refrigerator so that they can open the refrigerator and take the milk out. Or there's a pitcher in the refrigerator with some milk in it, and they can take that pitcher out, and then they have access to a glass, they have access to some juice, they have access to whatever it is they would like for breakfast. You get to sleep in and enjoy yourself. Let's see here. I observed this amazing thing in the Assistance to Infancy class where these 18 to 20-month-olds were participating in snack. They were carrying their own trays. They were pouring their own juice. They were going along this little buffet style setup and putting their tray out and then taking the food that they wanted, choosing their own food, putting it on their plate, and then going and sitting down and pulling their chair out, their child-sized chair that's very small, and sitting at their table and having everything that they need to be successful accessible in their size for their age. All right. So I can't stress enough how important sleep is for their brain development. Create a peaceful, soothing environment and your child will drift off to sleep. You want to create an environment where it's easy for them to make their own food. You want to have stools and a low shelf in the kitchen. All these things will help the children to be able to help themselves and meet their own needs. And you want to practice observation as often as possible. And with that observation, you're watching for concentration. So you're engaging them in their environment and giving them lessons. Lessons are a whole different video. But one of the key things to think about is you show them how to do something. You break it down into very simple steps. And one of the most important things to think about when you're giving a lesson is immediately following the lesson, you give the child the opportunity to repeat what you just showed them so that it solidifies it in their heads. And you'd be surprised at how capable they are at a very young age. So that sums it up. We're at 22 minutes. I apologize. I was kind of all over the place. I had my notes, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and got a pretty decent idea of some of the things that could be really helpful with your 0 to 3-year-old. Please feel free again to ask me any questions, and I hope that you'll leave a review. And my son says, "Mom, you have to say like and subscribe." He's all hip to the YouTube lingo. So like and subscribe to my channel, please. And thank you guys again for participating. I hope you have a wonderful day.